you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do.
What's going on, everybody? It's yours truly, Takara Nicole, aka the Identity Architect, and yep, it's another episode of What's the Real Deal with Takara Nicole. So, super excited that you're tuning in for the next 30 minutes to my TV show, where I have so much fun, and hopefully you do too watching this. So if it's your first time, this show is geared to really go behind the scenes and learn about people. We see people all the time, whether it's in Walmart, Target, in the grocery stores, but we don't know their real story. And so this is why this platform has been created. So welcome. Hopefully you have your favorite beverage, your food, but don't you dare move now because we're getting ready to go straight in. So today's guest, man. So I used to live in Chicago. I've been in Omaha for about 9 months now, and super excited that I'm here. However, I am the founder of Voss Consulting and Publishing, where I help my clients to monetize their genius, understanding how authorship is indeed a form of entrepreneurship. And this gem that I have on my show today, we've been working together virtually for like 2+ years, and we're here to talk about her book and all things Jessica McLaurin. Take us away, girl. Hey.
How's it going?
Welcome to the show.
Thanks
so
for having
excited
me.
you're here. Yeah. So we're going to talk about her authorship journey and whatever else pops up. So tell us a little bit about Jess.
Yeah, well, I mean, I got to meet you again a couple years ago, a little bit more than that, but I grew up in Colorado, and then I moved to Omaha about, say, like 6 years ago and stuff like that. Was just here for like grad school, and then life got a little hectic, and I was like, let's just get some experience in the workforce.
And that's normally how that works.
You're right.
Yeah.
Oh, man. No, but that's where I met a friend who ended up introducing me to you, and we just kind of connected and went from there.
Right?
Yeah.
So Jessica is an author. She's an illustrator. She's so dope at what she does. And so, Jessica, tell people about your book that's on the table here and how long you've been working on it and all things authorship for you. What has that been like?
Oh man, it's definitely been a journey. Like this story, it is a fantasy story. In this world, the Ilar is what the series is called. Everyone's soul has a musical theme. So depending on like where you live, like what your like family history is, like your emotions, your memories, like you have like an instrument that helps like play out like a soul theme for you. And it just kind of really like helps like the main character like connect with other people. And obviously in the fantasy world, you got some action, you got some drama, so it kind of helps her in the fight scenes and things of that nature. But no, but the story, I first started writing it back in high school, starting with like all of like the world building, and it just kind of blossomed from there. Originally the story was going to be about her dad, but then I was like, you know what, we need some like strong like female characters, like female knights. So I was like, all right, let's do this, let's change it up. So, but yeah.
So tell everybody, I mean, first of all, give Jessica a hand clap wherever you are. She is my first client to actually write a fantasy book. Yeah. So I've worked with over 90 people, and she's my first fantasy client, and I didn't know like anything about the fantasy world until she educated me on it. So one of the things, like she said, let's talk about the music.
Yeah.
So what made you put music in your book? Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, well, I mean, like for me, like kind of like growing up, like I always had a little bit of I guess struggles like understanding like social cues and things like that. So it was kind of like an abstract way to help like explain how I was trying to connect with people in the world and stuff. And I grew up playing music and stuff. Like I played in the orchestra. Violin is my main thing, but I was teaching myself piano for a bit, so ended up writing like little songs for each of the main characters.
So like I said, I've been knowing her for a while, and this is the first time I knew that she had played a violin. So, all right, now we're going to tap into that world. So when you say, because everyone doesn't want to play an instrument, or like they want to play the drums, or I did the clarinet for a little bit. I wanted to do the sax, but my mom's like, I don't know, carrying a sax. So I was like, whatever. So the clarinet was my thing, and I loved it.
Yeah.
So what made you lean more towards the violin?
I mean, for me, it sounds so simple, but it just sounded so pretty. And
Oh.
well, yeah, and it was just something like I think I saw it in like a movie way back, like when I was a little kid and stuff. I was like, that's what I want to do. So
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can totally see that. So let's talk about how long did it take you to write this book?
Yeah, so that book, again, I started senior year of high school, and then I was really writing during my undergrad over at CSU. So the book, like the first draft, which ended up actually being split into 3 different books.
Right.
So I'm currently editing the second one.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'd say it's like in at least 8 years.
Wow.
Getting the whole like characters that I wanted in it, like the world, the different magic, like the different gods and stuff. So there's a lot that went into it.
I love that you share that journey, because there's times where people will pick up their book and then they'll put it down. They'll pick it up and put it down. And
Yeah.
sometimes people feel really defeated that they haven't finished something. And so I have a client of mine that it took about 13 years before working with me to actually get it out. So for those of you that are watching the show, if you have a book and you don't stop, the ebbs and flows of life, it's real. But as you can see, Jessica pushed through, and now she's an author of 1 book and in the process of editing others. So one of the things that I absolutely enjoyed while working with Jessica was she was my first client to come up with a pen name. So let's talk about your pen name and where that came from.
Yeah, well, I mean, for me, I wanted to have like a name that like belonged to me, like something where anything that was like related to like this world that I'd been building for so long, like it would just be associated with that. And I guess like another funny thing, like if I ever wanted to have a cameo in the book and everything, it sounds like a fantasy name. It'd be kind of funny.
That is cool. I never thought about that, but that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so tell everyone the pen name, and then what does it mean to you?
Yeah, so the pen name is Majera Palais, and for me it means perseverance and just sticking with it, because like you said, where sometimes it takes so long to get the book going and stuff like that, and I'd carry like little journals with me everywhere. Like you should see my stack of books at home. There's like a whole little pile going on and stuff, but
Yeah.
and it was just kind of like a promise to myself, like so like I like getting like something started, like you're gonna finish this.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Wow. You talk about the promise, and I love that, because a lot of times when you're writing a book, what people don't tell you, what I tell all my clients, I've learned to tell you guys up front, is that it's a process. So as it's a process, you're going through a process, because you're actually creating something. It's like birthing a child. And before we actually went live, I was holding the book and I almost cried, because this is my first time seeing it in person. And so it's one thing to see it as you're uploading it and you're formatting, but to hold it is, I feel like it's my baby too. So I want to thank you so much for allowing me to be a part of your process. So tell the reader, see, I'm all in another world. I want to sit here and read it. Tell everybody that's watching one of your favorite scenes in the book and why.
Ooh, well, one of my favorite ones, so this world, it's also kind of based on like travels that I've gone on like growing up and stuff, so that kind of helped like with like the world building, so it's more like a tropical setting and stuff like that. But the main character, she has some trust issues and things like that, but there's this fight going on and lots of like waters coming into the ship and everything, and then in this world she has like the happy place, like it's called Mignel and everything, so she's able to kind of like transport her soul, I guess you could say, there, and it helps her just like think. She just comes into like a very empty like beach, and it's really pretty there, but then she ends up seeing this one character who ends up becoming like a really good friend like later on in the series, but she's like, what are you doing here? She's like, I don't know. it's just kind of like the start of like their journey together. So
When I say I've never have seen a book that has so much thought into it, So there's music, like she shared. There's colored illustrations throughout the book. I mean, it's just so in depth. You said something during one of our coaching sessions that I will never forget. So in this book, she talks about different emotions and different things that women go through. You want to talk about some of those topics that people can find in this book?
Yeah, for sure. Well, obviously, like in this book, like I mentioned, like the character with like the trust issues, and I mean, mental health is.
We all go through that.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
But yeah, no, we definitely like touch on like mental health in the story, or like that feeling of like imposter syndrome. She's kind of like thrust into the role of like becoming like a leader, and she's like, I don't really want that, but her mentor is like, nope, here you go, and she's like, oh no.
That's why I wanted her to share, because there's so many elements of this book that anybody can relate to. And so sometimes when we think of a fantasy book, we automatically get turned off because that's not what we're used to reading. But Jess was very intentional about including life lessons, not just for women, but for anybody. So those who have mental health issues, those who have imposter syndrome, which is a terminology that everybody can relate to in some shape or form if they're real with themselves. And so really diving into this is something where we all, I know I can't wait to actually read it verbatim. Like, it's one thing when I take my clients through the process of writing it, but it's another thing when I can actually sit and read it. So I'm really super excited for you. So what would you say to people who are out here that maybe it's been 6 years, maybe it's been 15 years, what would you say to them about their authorship journey and what should they do? Yeah,
I mean, for me, like my biggest thing is it's not a race. It's okay if it takes 5 years, 20 years, even longer than that. Like for me, with Coming the Story, like you know how it was. Like we thought that we were going to be ready to like publish it like right after the coaching session. I'm like, I need to keep editing. It's not quite ready yet. And it was like, all right, let's just keep working on it. And then like another year went by.
Life happens.
Yeah, life gets crazy.
Life gets crazy. And so what can readers or your audience, and I hope you guys really dive into this. We're going to tell you where you can find this here in a minute. What can we expect from you? Like you said that it was 3 books, and I remember that session. I was like, negative. We are not doing that. We are not making it a huge book. And I believe in that. Like, we dissect it and keep the audience.
It
like,
was so funny.
More. Yeah. I didn't know if you were going to come back to coaching sessions after that one.
Well, that was going on a walk and everything. You're like, oh, that's too big. I'm like, oh, okay, I can figure out how to put into separate ones. But
and we did. And I keep holding this, you guys, because it's very near and dear to my heart. Because, I mean, man, Jess, you did it. Congratulations.
Thank you. It took so long. And thank you for your help. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. So what's next for you? What can people expect? And where can people find the book? So let's do those 2 questions.
Yeah, of course. So I guess like next, like I mentioned before, I'm currently editing the 2nd book, and technically that was the first book I was working on when I met you. So it's pretty much already edited. So I'm just making some tweaks to kind of fit a little better with this one. And I'm working on like some art and stuff. I'm trying to learn how to do like the 3D like modeling so I can like make it the actual characters. But yeah, but otherwise hoping to have a book signing sometime in November with the local shops. So got to check out the Bookworm. Yeah.
So let me tell you, one of the things that I absolutely love about Jess is that her eye for detail is like, ooh, it's so amazing. So it is. So
thank you.
She's helped me with 2 of my projects for I call her like one of my baby clients, but she's not a baby anymore. She's almost a preteen.
Perfect.
So one of my clients, her name's Kenzie. Hi, Kenzie.
Hi, Kenzie.
We love you. And so she writes books as a part of a contest every year at her school. And so Jessica has been really instrumental with creating the illustrations for her books, and those are found on Amazon too. And you know what? I will make sure. Her name is Kenzie Neely, Neely, and you can also look up Jess's name too and find Kenzie's books. She writes about real life things. Like her first book was talking about
having to read like in front of an audience and
yes,
stuff, and
yes. Yeah, as a kid. So real life lessons. And she's probably the only author that I have that can write a book in 60 minutes or less. No joke.
She's hardcore.
She's hardcore.
Good job, Kenzie.
She's super dope. I mean, like,
beat me.
Right? Like character illustrations, what they're gonna wear, what they're gonna look like, what city they're gonna live in, everything. She's so dope.
That's awesome.
I know. But Jessica, thank you for being a part of that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your illustration work, because there is a project that she helped me and some of my colleagues with called the Business Avengers. And you'll hear about it more here soon, where we have ourselves as comic book characters, but we're talking about what we do in the business world, but we're in comic book character form, and she did those for us.
Yeah, that's a really fun project.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're so dope. So let's talk about your love for illustration, and how did you really launch out to developing that? Because we all have a love for something, but to actually develop it and spend time nurturing that love is totally different. So what did you do to really put yourself out there when it comes to all things illustrations?
Yeah, well, I guess for just like getting into like art in general and stuff, it's definitely like a good way to like escape and stuff, and just a good way to like express yourself. Like I said earlier, it's hard for me like with the social cues and like expressing emotions. So it was like a good way to just like translate it like from like the mind to the paper and stuff. And but for like getting out there and like actually like working with people to help like build their brand, or like just like bring like their own like ideas to life, like it's just, I don't know, there's something with like the coaching aspect of it, and just being able to see like what's important to them. So like walking through what do they want their character to be, like what colors are important, like what is your character's story, like give me all that, and then let's bring it to life.
And it's so amazing that your gift is so sharp. So one of the things that I love about Jess's project is that she designed her book cover herself. The first client ever, and I never told you that, that has done her. You're fancy. This whole pen name is fancy. So she's done her own illustrations, also in the book, and has designed the book cover from front to back. Let's go into the book cover before we end our session here, which I hate. But you're going to have to come back with your next book for sure, and just tell everybody a little bit more about, we're working on some stuff behind the scenes in reference to her teaching people on how to illustrate.
So excited.
Really excited for that. So where did the vision of this book cover come from?
Yeah, well, when I was like first getting started, like back in the day when I was just putting everything in like my little journals and stuff, like when I was coming up with like the different sheet music, I kept like drawing it like around like the border of the page. So I'm like, it's just like an interesting style. I'm like, let's just do that and stuff. And then just like being able to like bring like some more like color and like life with it, to show like this is like someone's like soul coming to life. So like the pictures you'll see like in the book, so like that hexagon shape and everything, that's just like an abstract way of describing what one particular character's soul is. So yeah.
That's so deep.
Yeah.
I love it. So tell everybody where they can find your book.
Yeah, so you can find it a couple different places. Obviously, you got Amazon, best place and everything, and I also have my own website that that you helped me like kind of like set up and stuff, and so that's on payhip.com/MajeraPlay. So just the pen name at the end, but yeah.
And so you said that you have a book signing that you're working on, and then the book, who is gonna? I know, but who's gonna be having your books in inventory here locally in Omaha?
Yeah, it's the Bookworm.
The Bookworm.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting. So one of the things that I love asking people when it comes to what they do, so we really didn't talk about it much. during your childhood, were you really active with drawing and telling stories? Like, where did that love for telling stories actually come from?
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely doing that as a kid. Like, that was like my favorite thing, other than like doing like some like softball, like some sports and stuff. But I like to keep busy and everything. But I think it was just being able to like read like other books. So like one of my favorite ones was like the Aragon series, like another fantasy book. Like they have like dragons. I'm just like, oh yes, I want to be able to do something like that. And as like I got older, then it got into like the Brandon Sanderson series, and he's also like a big fantasy author too. And
wow.
yeah, and he was the one that kind of inspired me. Like his books are like these massive books. I'm like, I want to write a book that big one day. So
One day.
we're getting there, but
Yeah, we are definitely getting there.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this because they can't see this. I am going to switch this around real quick. There's a logo on the back of your book. Tell people what that means and where did that come from?
Ooh, well, I mean, for the logo, it kind of sounds a little simple, but I just like the design.
Are you serious?
Yeah, but no, but it was also, it is the, like the, what is it, the emblem for like their main city and stuff. So they use it on their flag. So.
I knew it was deeper than you just liking it.
Oh,
So how many cities are we talking about that are in this book? How many characters do you have too?
Yeah, well, city-wise in this book, you really only get to visit like 2 cities. So you have like their main one, Uje-Remai, and then
These names, you guys.
I have a background in like I love science and everything. So like anatomy and physiology, like those kind of inspire like the names of like the different places or like the different gods and stuff like that. So if you're interested in any of that, you can kind of like make like a little map or try to keep track of like which like system belongs with like which celestial gods and stuff like that. So
Wow.
But
So how many characters can we find in your book?
oh, there's a whole cast of characters. So main character, her name is Shariah, and she is kind of like the ward of the queendom. So in their city, the stars have descended. They wanted to live amongst humans. So you have Ariat Ronas, who's like the queen, and then she has her whole bodyguards. But this book, it's kind of like a prequel, I guess you could say, to the series. It's how she met all of these other like women who are just going to be really strong. Like they become like her family and stuff. So like you have Talira, Alice and Desse, or Alice. You have Barantz, Kalentz, Lanai, Marith. So that's like the main crew. There's 7 for the main crew, but there are more people than this. So
And they're all women that can relate to each other in some shape or form, that have all
Yep.
these things that are going on. Not your typical fantasy books, ladies and gentlemen, for sure. There's a lot of social economical dynamics that are in this book, a lot of things that we go through as humans, especially women, and I absolutely love it. So let's get the title again. I'm going to flip the book around, and this is volume 1, so that means there's more to come.
yeah.
Love it. So let's get the title one more time.
Yeah, so it's the Ilar, and you can just type that into Google or to Amazon, and it should just pop up right there and stuff. And this one, it's the Ilar Galantra Volume 1. Galantra is the city that they end up going to in this first one. So I have it kind of broken down into the cities. So yeah.
And the cool thing about this is it's all her. You know, she's not copycatting anything. There's nothing like what she's created out here.
No.
And that's what I love when I'm working with my clients, like really tapping into their genius. And you've nailed it with this book. So
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
yeah, you have. So one more time, where can people find your book?
Yeah, you can find it on Amazon or payhip.com/Majerapalais. I know it's a mouthful, but, but
It is, but it's super dope. I mean, now you make me want to think about my name like I'm just Takara Nicole. I mean, you got something real fancy and it rolls off the tongue. And,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, thank God I'm not single, because men would be like, ooh, girl, what's your name again? That's fancy.
Yeah.
So thank you for being a part of the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Definitely appreciate you. Excited for your authorship journey and to have you back. You know what? I'm gonna tell a little bit about what we're working on, because there might be somebody out here who wants that real quick before we wrap up. So as I mentioned, I have a full service consulting and publishing company working on creating more classes around the geniuses that I get to help publish their books, Jess being one of them. So if you guys want to learn how to write your own fantasy book, Jessica's going to be teaching people on how to do that. And if you want to learn how to, if you have that knack, I definitely don't. All I can do is draw stick figures and they work for me. If you wanted to have somebody who can illustrate your books, create logos, any type of graphic work, make sure that you reach out to Jess. What's an email that they can reach you at if they are interested in the class that we're getting ready to create in 2024? Give us a minute, you guys. We want her to celebrate all this goodness in this book here first. So where can people reach out to you and be able to inquire about the services that you provide?
Yeah, a good email, it's all just lowercase. It's going to be the pen name, so majera.pillay@gmail.com.
So
fancy.
Just love it. All we're missing here is tea and crumpets. Yes.
Perfect.
All right, I'm done acting silly. Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of What's the Real Deal? What's a Carnicle? Super excited that I had the opportunity to spend 30 minutes with you guys along with Jessica. Make sure you guys follow her, you guys. Social media, real quick. Where can they follow you on social media?
Yeah, right now, like I'm mainly on like TikTok and everything, but also like you got like the Instagram and
it's all your pen name, right?
all the pen name.
All the pen name.
Keep it easy.
See, keeping it simple. Follow the pen name, you'll get to Jess. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and peace out.
What you trying to do for real? For real.
Cosmic psychedelic funk is what I came to do. Yep.